Hey, what's up? Tyson France with Motion Revolver here. Just wanted to show you how to install motion graphics templates, or otherwise known as Mogrt files, inside of Adobe Premiere. So there's a couple ways we can do this. If we're only dealing with a couple of Mogrt files, we can install them individually directly inside of Premiere. So we want to make sure that our Essential Graphics panel is open. And then now this is the latest version currently of Adobe Premiere, and this is version 12.1.1. Adobe recently updated this. There used to be two little folders here that allowed you to click on the icon and import the files that way, but those appear to have been removed in this latest update. And now what you need to do, if you want to install one file at a time, we just go down here to this little icon. You can see there's a little pop-up notification that says Install Motion Graphics Template. That'll open up your dialog box and you can navigate to wherever your files are. Now the problem is that Adobe only allows you to select one Mogrt files at a time, so you can't select multiple files and import them. You have to do them one at a time. So if you're dealing with a lot of Mogrt files, you can see how that could be a little bit tedious and time consuming. So there's a much quicker, more seamless way to install Mogrt files into this panel here for ease of use. So what we'll do is we will jump over here to our Finder. And now obviously this is the Mac version. All motion graphics templates actually come with, or I should say all Motion Revolver templates come with instructions. Let's see. They come with these instructions here that show you the paths for both PC and Mac. If you're on a Windows machine, this is the path you need to follow to install the Mogrt files, and if you're on a Mac, this is the path here. So I'm going to show you on a Mac how to access these files. So you want to go to your main users folder and then to the library. So we click on the library folder, and then we click on Application Support, Adobe, Common, and then Motion Graphics Templates files. And any motion graphics templates files that you've purchased, downloaded, created, whatever the case may be, you want to install them in this motion graphics templates folder. Now what I've actually done is I've taken it a step further, and I created a Motion Revolver folder inside of this motion graphics templates folder. So any templates that I create for Motion Revolver, I just copy them over to this Motion Revolver folder. And now this contains currently all the projects that we have built in Mogrt format for Adobe Premiere. So this keeps things organized. As soon as you have your Mogrt files copied over to this Motion Graphics Templates folder, just to make sure things have loaded correctly, I always recommend restarting Premiere or opening it up fresh so that whatever you just copied over here is loading in properly. So we'll go back to Premiere, and all of those files that you just saw in the Finder that were loaded into the Motion Graphics folder, they are now inside of the browser of the Essential Graphics panel. And of course, inside of here, we can search for certain things. So we have a template called Ultramodern Titles, so you can search for certain titles. And then from there, you can grab whatever file you are wanting to use and customize it. And that's pretty much it. That's the entire process. I hope you found this helpful, and good luck with your project. Hey, what's up? Tyson France from Motion Revolver with another quick tip here. Just wanted to show you quickly how to open up a Mogrt file, that's a motion graphics template file, inside of After Effects. Now, the weird part about this tutorial is that the only way to create a Mogrt file is with After Effects. But up until the most recent versions of After Effects and Premiere by Adobe, you could not actually very easily open up a Mogrt file back in After Effects to edit it. You had to have the original .aep After Effects project file to make edits to that, and then re-export that back out as a Mogrt file for use inside Premiere. But now with this most recent version of After Effects, all we have to do is go to File, Open Project, and then we navigate to whatever Mogrt file that we want to edit. And we'll use one of our Motion Revolver templates here, the Ultra Modern template, and have a few different Mogrt files here. We'll just open up this Ultra Modern center title, and then it's asking us now where we want to extract these files, because what's going to happen here is it's going to take this Mogrt file, and then it's going to extract all the After Effects, the editable After Effects data out of it to create a new After Effects file. So we'll just use the same folder here and click Extract. Now it's opened up the file. If I can navigate back here actually to my Finder, this is the folder that it created in the same location. So it created a .aep file, so the original After Effects project file essentially, with a text report, which we don't really need, but at least now we have the original AEP that we could use. We can even open this back up in After Effects. We can use it to edit things. We can use it to create more Mogurts if we wanted to. But diving back into After Effects here, we can see that we have pretty much all the same features that were used to create the Mogrt file. If we have our Essential Graphics panel open here, and if you don't have this panel open, you just go to Window and make sure that the where is it? Essential Graphics panel is open right here. The Essential Graphics panel, you want to make sure there's a little check mark next to that. And, so we can use this file to, we can even create graphics and render them out from here, or we can make edits to the Mogrt itself. Like, say, for example, we wanted to change the font, or we wanted to change a few features, or add some features, take some features away, whatever the case may be. Once we're done editing, all we have to do is save the file, and then click Export Motion Graphics Template. It'll ask you where you want to export the file. And then if you just want to replace the original Mogrt file that you opened, you can do that and replace the file, and then import that back into Premiere, and you're ready to go. But that's pretty much it. It's a lot more straightforward than the previous method of opening up a Mogrt file inside of After Effects. Adobe has streamlined this process much better in this latest round. So again, that's pretty much the entire process. I hope you found this helpful, and good luck with your project. Hey, what's up? Tyson France with Motion Revolver here. Thanks a lot for purchasing the Election Essentials pack for Adobe Premiere. We'll dive right in here to show you how to customize the project. Just real quick, if you haven't already watched the other tutorials to install the motion graphic templates file into Premiere, please make sure that you watch all of the tutorials that precede this tutorial, just so that you know that your Mogrt files here are installed properly in the right folders for Premiere. So diving into Premiere here, make sure that your Essential Graphics panel is open. If you don't see this anywhere in your interface, all you have to do is just go up to Window and make sure that Essential Graphics is checked. And then instead of trying to scroll through all of these Mogrt files that are already installed, I'm just going to go up here and type in Election Essentials and hit Enter. And that shows us all of the motion graphics templates files that are named with the Election Essentials name. So we can see all of the options we have here. We have backgrounds and election results and maps, and we have our intro animation, and then we have our lower thirds and side panels and split screens and all that stuff, and our transitions. So just to kind of show you how the customization process would work, we'll just start dragging some of these into the timeline. So I'll start here with the intro animation. Just kind of drop that in, and sometimes it takes a second to load. All right, there we go. So scrubbing through here, you can see the responsiveness. It takes a little while for the preview to update, and that's likely due to the file size of this Mogrt, because it's a self-contained animation. It's a 10-second intro that essentially you don't have to do any keyframing for. All you have to do is update the title or the colors or whatever the case may be, and essentially add it to your timeline or your sequence. So as you can see here, we have our title, Election 2018, and inside of our Essential Graphics panel, if the as long as you have your Edit tab activated here, you can see all of the options that are associated with this Mogrt file. So all we have to do with any of these Mogrt files is just start here at the top and work our way down and customize everything that we want to change. So, for example, with our background options, if we wanted different background colors, like if we wanted this light blue to be more of a red color, we could do something like that and change that to a red. That looks pretty good. The background stars, if we didn't want our background stars to be white, but we wanted them to be, I don't know, we'll just make it so that we can see the change here. So now they're almost like a green tint, but I'll revert back to white. We can also change the opacity of the stars. So if we wanted to turn them off completely, we could set that to 0, or we can make the stars more opaque. But I think the default was 45, so we'll leave that there. And then moving down to the title. Clearly, if you're going to use this project in future years and you wanted to use this perhaps with the 2020 election instead of the 2018 election, you might change the title to 2020, or really any year from here on. We could even change the word election. Let's say instead of election, we wanted it to say decision. We could do stuff like that. And of course, we can change the color of the title text, or we can change the color of the star. Now this is a gradient, so that's why there's two colors, A and B. So if we wanted, say, a portion of our star to be blue instead of red, we can do that. I'll actually make that bottom part blue. That's pretty cool. There we go. So we can update the color of the star, we can update the text and the color of the text, and all of these options here. And this is pretty much the way all of these motion graphic files will work. Now, of course, each individual Mogrt file is going to require its own customization because they're not linked like they are in After Effects. But you can sort of see how we can quickly put together a customized sequence here. So I'll place the playhead beyond our intro, and I'll go back to Browse. And what I might want to work with next is I may want to place a background. Since we don't have any video or images imported into here, we might want some sort of backdrop to work on for the rest of our graphics. So I'm going to grab this backgrounds Mogrt file, and as you can see, it does take a minute for it to load because of the file size, and it's dealing with large rendered graphics, so sometimes this just takes a minute to preview and update. But now we can scrub through here and see the animation of the stars. And if we click on the background layer we just put in, and then go up here to our options inside the Essential Graphics panel, we can see that we can, again, change the color of our background. So I'll make that red like we did with the other one. Let's go through our background style options. So we can see, we can choose three different styles of background. So we have style 1, which is sort of a smaller star that sits at an angle. Style 2 is more of a straight-on viewpoint with larger stars. And then style 3, the stars are even larger. So depending on what kind of information you need to display on top of the background, or what your purpose is for using the background, you have some options here depending on how your text will display on top and whatnot. So I will look into the issues surrounding the linking of the colors there, but that's why we run through these tutorials, to make sure that everything's working. So going back to our browse, let's say we want to add some of our election results here. So what I'll do is I'll grab our election results Mogrt file, and we'll let that load. And as you can see, we currently have 3 options here in terms of candidates. So if this was a traditional midterm race or something of the sort, you may not always have 3 parties. You may only have 1 party, but in most cases you'll have 2 parties. So we go down here to number of candidates, and we can actually turn 3 off and activate 2 candidates. Then starting up here at the top, title options, we can turn our title on and off. We can change election again. We can make this decision if we want, like we did with the main title. We can change the year if we want, make that 2020. We can do the same thing with updating the colors, make this blue if we'd like, have a little bit more of an interesting gradient. We can turn our header on and off. The header panel, we can adjust the color. We can change the color of the header panel text. And of course, we can change the text within the header panel itself. We've already updated the number of candidates. We've changed that from 3 to 2. We can also have 1, just like that. And then moving down here, we can change the size of the election results. We can also move it side to side. So let's say, for example, you wanted 2 election result candidates here, and then say you wanted to maybe place a picture or a video feed in here, or maybe you wanted to place like a graphic of whatever state you're featuring. So you can make this, let's say, for example, Pennsylvania election results. Let's even make that longer. Midterm election results. So you can see we have a really long title in there, and it all still fits. I believe Pennsylvania is one of the longest state names, so we can be sure that that's going to fit. And then again, moving down here, we can move this up and down and left and right. So we could even import a graphic of Pennsylvania and place it here. So there's a lot of customization options here in terms of making this your own sort of style. Then we go down here to political parties. Now, in most American elections, you have your Republican Party and your Democratic. But sometimes there's also independent parties such as the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, whatever the case may be. So if you're dealing with a 3-party election, you have the option of customizing all 3 of these colors. So purple is typically defaulted to a generic, political party. But let's say you're discussing the Green Party, you may want to make this swatch green instead of purple. And of course, that didn't update either, so that needs to be corrected. But you get the idea. You'll be able to customize the colors of all of these graphics here. So those will have to be corrected. Other things we can do, we can update the initial here inside of these swatches. So if this wasn't R, or say instead of independent, we wanted to change this to a G for Green Party, we could do that. Or if we didn't want anything in there at all, we just remove the letter and leave it blank, and that removes the letter. And then moving down here to candidate names, obviously this all corresponds to candidate 1 through 3. So if instead of MacArthur it was Smith or Murphy, there you go. You can change the name of the candidate. You can even add, if it's a small enough name and it fits, say Dan Smith, or you can do an initial such like this. So pretty much any option you want there. And then down to voting results. So we have candidate 1, candidate 2, and candidate 3. So candidate 1, we have a total number of votes at the bottom. This doesn't necessarily have to say votes. You could actually remove the word votes, and then it just has a number. Or this could be any other information. You could say, I don't know, you could say running second term or something like that. You could even add, little blurbs about the candidate. It doesn't have to be votes. It's just that's what the graphic was built for. And of course, we have the percentage. Again, this doesn't have to be a percentage either. You can just put a number in here, or heck, you can even put letters in here. Like if you wanted this to be the last name of the candidate, as long as it fits. But this was essentially built for a percentage vote panel. So we can put whatever percentage we want. And all three of these panels work the same way. So I won't spend too much time going through all of those. But you get the idea. You can also update candidate 2 and candidate 3's information. So that is essentially the election results. Now let's say we're looking at this and we're not really too happy about our background anymore. We can again just go back to our background Mogrt here underneath and just change the style if we wanted that more of the face on thing, or even style number 3. That looks great too. So just letting you know that any of this is updatable at any time. So what we'll do is actually we'll cut this short a little bit so that that ends there, and then we'll add another graphic. Let's see, what do we want to add next? Let's say we want to show some of our, we just showed election results, so now we want to show a live look at the map. So we'll grab our Election Essentials header, and we'll place that in the V3 slot. So you can see we have this information placed over our background, but the text is a little hard to read, so obviously we're going to have to update that. So the title text, we'll make that more of a white, and then the popular vote, we can change the color of that as well. And of course, this doesn't have to say popular vote. It can say anything you want. Say total vote. It can say really whatever you want to come up with. You can even put this on one line. If you wanted it to say total vote on one line and then remove this second line of text, you can do that as well. And then up here, same situation with the political party. We can change the color of the political parties. The star color again, just like we did before, we made that blue. And then down here we can change the name of the political parties. This is obviously Republican, and then Democrat, and then of course the percentages like we changed before. Now what if we wanted to add our map underneath here? Well, we just click and drag it right into the timeline, and we have to wait for it to load. This media offline is actually pretty typical. So there we go. Now we have our map in here. So we will have options in here to make the map larger or smaller and move it around so that you can actually move it away from the top of this graphic here. But I'm actually going to turn off this header graphic so we can see this a little bit better. And I'll actually turn off the background as well so that we don't have anything distracting us from the actual map. But I wanted to actually go ahead and highlight all of the customization features inside of this map, the actual map graphic itself. So up here at the top, we have our color options. Now, these colors won't actually change anything. If we were to change this to something else, it won't actually affect any of the colors below. These are just reference swatches for you to use to select for the states. So I'm actually going to make that red again. So let's say, for example, we wanted to change Alabama from red to blue. Instead of clicking on the swatch itself and then changing the color, all you would have to do is click the little eyedropper tool here and then hover over one of the color swatches that you preset earlier and click on it, and that changes the color of that state. So if you're all the way down here and you want it to change, say for example Wisconsin from red to blue, just click on the little eyedropper tool and select one of the states before it, and that will change the color. We also have an option to say if Alaska voted independent one year, you could change any of these states to a third color, or really any color. Any of these states could be a completely different color if you wanted to change the color within the swatch rather than using the eyedrop tool. Some other features in here include turning the state borders on and off if you don't like the look of the state border, or we can change the color of the border. If we wanted it to be black instead of white, we can do that as well. So all 50 states plus Puerto Rico are available in here for customization, so you can make these any color you wish. And that pretty much covers it for the map. So I'll turn these graphics back on. I'm going to make this actually white again because that looks horrible over the background. Going back to browse, I'm going to actually cut these down. All right. Back to browse. And then let's see, let's grab one of our lower thirds. So we'll drop our lower third Mogrt file in here. let that load for a second. So inside the lower third Mogrt, we have several options as well. The preset is the election results Mogrt, and but just to show you what else is in here, we have a 1-line, we have a 2-line, and a 3-line, and then of course the lower third for the election results. Of course, we can change the background color if we wish. That's not really noticeable. I'll change it here, make that red, so you can see that's red now. The star's opacity, just like with the other background, we can turn that up or down. The panel thickness, we can make it larger or smaller. It's actually more evident on the regular lower thirds. Make that larger or smaller. And then the title options, a lot of the same title options here as far as changing the color of the text and the color of the star. And then election in 2018, we can change all of that. The text color we can change. We can change. So all of these. So as you'll see, not all of these options correspond to every single graphic. So these options here for the text actually correspond to the lower thirds. Everything under the election results actually corresponds to this graphic, which is where we can customize these visuals here. So if we didn't want this to say D, or if we didn't want it to say anything at all, we can just remove the D, or we can change it to say I for independent, or we can change it to green, G for green. We can change it to green for Green Party. We can change the name to even make it green. And then, of course, our percentages we can change. So all of this is customizable under the election results attributes here. But if we go and activate one of our other lower third graphics, such as our 3-line, which has the same amount of customization features, you'll see some of the changes we made under the title options actually correspond here as well. So anything you change here is going to affect all of the graphics. So we made our gradient blue here, and it's still blue there. We can even make it 2020 if we wanted. And then as far as the text color goes, this affects the first 2 lines. And then the text color 2 actually affects the sub line there, right here. And then these 3 text lines obviously correspond to each one of these lines of text there. So we can update all of that. But now what if we had our 1-line lower third? Clearly, if we're just dealing with our 1-line lower third, the only line of text that we would be updating would be this text line number 1. None of these other lines of text would really mean anything, and we wouldn't have to worry about customizing those because they wouldn't show up unless we activated them here in our graphics. So I'll go ahead and turn our election results back on, go back to browse, and I think what I'll do is actually grab one of our transitions, create another video layer here, video channel, and I'll place that right in the middle between this seam so we can create a little bit of a transition. Now if I click on our transition Mogrt, you'll see we have 3 different options here at the top. We have our vertical transition, which goes from bottom to top. We have our horizontal transition, which goes from left to right. And our zoom transition, which is a series of stars that fly at the screen and then create the transition from a cut point. So we'll start here with our number 1 transition, our vertical transition. And we'll scroll back here. We'll scroll back to the beginning so we can sort of see it coming onto the screen. Again, we can change the text. If we wanted that to be 2020, again, we can change the color of the text. We can change the color of the star. And we could change the color of the background if we wanted to actually change the color of the background. For the transition, that may actually create a nicer look, which separates it from the rest of the background. But of course, those are not updating, so they all need to be, I need to investigate the issue with the color linking with some of these Mogrt files. So that is something I will look into. But again, that's why we run through these tutorials, so that I can make sure that everything's functioning. But anyway, just to go back here, this is our horizontal transition. Kind of scrub through and show you what that looks like. And then the zoom transition, which is a series of stars that fly at the camera and then wipes on the screen. So we've just created a transition between our map graphic, then we have our transition, and then we go to our election results lower third there. Some other options that we have in here. Side panels. I will grab the side panels Mogrt file and we'll let that load. And I mean, as you can see, this side panel is now currently appearing on top of the election results lower third. So we may want to move that election results lower third up, just to show you that these graphics do actually work in conjunction with one another if you would like them to. You could place this election results lower third on top of the side panel and then just update your side panel information with, say, less text. We'll remove some of this copy here. And side panel, same options up here at the top. We can choose from left and right if we wanted our side panel on the left, or if we wanted our side panel on the right. And we can change the background colors and the title colors, and we can make this 2020 again and change the color of our star, and all of the same customization features. So I'll actually trim these down. And then I believe last but not least with the graphics was the split screen. So I'm going to go ahead and drag the split screen graphic into the sequence. And if we click on that, we can see our options within here. We have two different styles of split screens. We have our windows, which we can place video underneath and place two separate clips of video side by side. Say if we're doing a live broadcast, we can have like our anchor in the studio and our anchor out in the field, or we can have our anchor talking here and display some B-roll footage or images, whatever the case may be. Excuse me. The other option we have is the center panel, which is basically just a strip down the center, which will allow you to do a side-by-side video feed, so you can drop two pieces of video on either side and crop one of the videos so that you can display two pieces of video side by side with a nice little separator in the middle. And again, they all have the same customization options. We can make that 2020. We can change the election text and the colors. We have our window edge thickness. If I go back to Windows, we can actually turn the thickness off and just have two windows. I can bump that all the way up to make it a little thicker. Star opacity in the background, same deal. We can make the stars more or less opaque. And I think that pretty much covers it. So as you can see, in a relatively short amount of time, now obviously it's not polished or anything, but we've created a sequence here that has our intro animation, and then it has election results and transitions, and you can see how with a little bit of practice and just getting yourself up to speed with the way the graphics work, you could put something together pretty quickly here. But I think I've covered everything. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. But as usual, if you have any comments or questions, I can always be reached via our VideoHive profile page on videohive.net, or you can email me directly at tyson@motionrevolver.com. Once again, I want to thank you for purchasing the Election Essentials pack for Adobe Premiere, and best of luck with your project. Hey, what's up? Tyson France with Motion Revolver here. I just wanted to quickly cover a question that I receive a lot of times from customers, and it pertains to the newly created motion graphics template, otherwise known as Mogrt files, which are compatible with Adobe Premiere. Now, these sorts of files have certain limitations that I'm hoping Adobe will address in the somewhat near future, and some of those limitations are you can't really update placeholder images such as logos or images or videos, and you also cannot change the font for any embedded text. So I have one of our Motion Revolver, I believe this is called a local news double line lower third graphic that we're working with here. It's available on videohive.net if you're interested in working with the files. But as you'll see, there's a number of customization features that we've built in here, such as being able to customize colors and opacities, and you can even type in your own text to create your own custom lower third graphic. The problem is that within Premiere, you can't update the font. You can't change the font. So as the end user, you're sort of locked into using only the font that is embedded within the Mogrt file. Now, there is a way to fix this if you have Adobe After Effects installed on your computer. But the only way to fix this, unless Adobe comes up with an update in the future that allows these updates to, or that allows you to change the font within Premiere, unless Adobe fixes this, right now this is the only way you can change the font. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to navigate over to After Effects Creative Cloud 2018, and it's important that you have the latest version of After Effects installed as well, because being able to open a Mogrt file within After Effects is actually another recent development that Adobe just allowed a couple months ago. This version that I'm working with is currently 15.1.2, so just make sure that you have the latest version possible installed to avoid any possible issues. Now, you also cannot double click a Mogrt file to open it in After Effects, and you cannot click and drag the file to the dock and open the Mogrt file within the icon within the dock. You actually have to go into After Effects, go to File, Open Project, and I have the file here on my desktop. So I'm just going to open the Mogrt file, and that's going to ask me where I want to extract the contents of this Mogrt. So I'm actually just going to extract the contents right back to the desktop. This is going to create a new folder that will hold the After Effects project file and any other supporting media that is required for this to function. Now, when you open up a Mogrt file, you really never know what you're going to get, because it all depends on how the author set the file up. In this case, we actually broke this down from an existing After Effects project. So we took an existing After Effects project that was already designed for After Effects and converted it into a Premiere compatible file. Now, to update the text, again, it will all depend on the Mogrt file. They're all going to be different depending on how the author created it, but you have to drill down into the compositions to find the editable text layers. In this case, the editable text layers for this project are right within the main the main composition. So once we've opened up the main comp, we can see there's a number of customizable text layers here. So we can actually select all of these editable text layers by holding down Shift or Command to select more than one within the timeline. And then we can go up here to our character panel, and the font is currently Babus New. So what I'm going to do is change this to Montserrat, and we can change these really to anything. If we want this to be bold, if we want this one to be bold, we could do that as well. So as you can see, you could basically change the font weight to anything you want. You can change the font size to anything you want. And in a lot of cases, when you do change the font, you're going to have to actually make additional updates to probably the size and the kerning so that it fits within the graphic. And as you can see in this case, this title is overlapping the graphic underneath it. So we're going to have to scale this text down, probably get rid of the kerning as well, set that to 0, maybe even to -25 to get it to fit. And then maybe we'll bump this up to 26 and center that on the graphic. Same thing with the lower third. We can change the size of this if we want, maybe bump it up to 52. This line here is a little bit low, so we'll move it up. and maybe drop the size of that to 36 and reduce the kerning to negative 25. So as you can see, without going too far into this specific graphic, when you do update the font or change the font to whatever you want, there may be some additional customization that needs to be done to get it to work within the graphic. You could even change the color as well, but of course, if the author set up color customization for the text in the Mogrt file, you won't necessarily need to do that within the After Effects project. But okay, so now we have the text updated within the composition. We want to go back to whatever comp was used to create the Mogrt file. And we can find that just by going to our Essential Graphics panel and looking at the master composition for this Mogrt. The master composition for this Mogrt is the Customization panel composition. So we want to make sure that we have that composition open, which we do. This is the Customization panel, and it's named Local News Broadcast 2-line lower third. So we may want to reset the poster time, which gives us a new preview with the new font. And then all we have to do is click on this button here, Export Motion Graphics Template. We need to save the file, that's fine. It's going to ask us where we want to save it on our computer. I'm actually going to save this as V2. I'll put it on my desktop. And now we have a brand new Mogrt file with an updated font. We'll go back into Premiere, go to Browse. I'm actually going to delete this old one from our timeline. We'll go back to Browse, clear that. I'm going to click on this little Install Motion Graphics Template icon down here since we're just installing one. Go to my desktop, and as you can see, we have our version 2 file here that we just created, so I'm going to open that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to restart Premiere. Not going to save it. Open Premiere back up. I'm going to create a new timeline by hitting Command N. Essential Graphics panel. Sometimes this takes a second because there's a lot of previews. I'm going to type in V2, see what comes up. Oh, there it is. Okay. The file was actually imported the first time. It's just that it did not come in with the new V2 because I did not change. So this is actually another good thing to cover. So I was looking for V2 thinking that changing the file name of the Mogrt would actually import with that file name, but that's not the case. The Mogrt will retain whatever name you give it within After Effects. So if I navigate back here to After Effects, what I should have done is actually added V2 to this title. So whenever you save out your new Mogrt file with the new font, you might want to update the name of the file itself, because that way you know the difference between the original and the one that you updated. So going back into Premiere, we have this updated Mogrt file. We'll let it preview quickly, and we'll scroll out. And as you can see now, this Mogrt contains all of the same editability and customization features that it had before, but it contains the new font, the new Montserrat font that we changed from Babus New. So unfortunately, as of right now, until Adobe gives us the ability to edit fonts or change fonts within Premiere, this is the only way to update the font on a Mogrt file, is by importing it into After Effects, making our edits, and then exporting it back out as a Mogrt. So I hope you found this helpful. As usual, if you have any further questions, just leave a comment below, or get in touch with us on social media. You can also email me directly or visit our profile page on videohive.net. Once again, I'm Tyson France with Motion Revolver, and good luck with your project.
Subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Click the bell button and enjoy the latest uploads from our channel.